we ready? Call the City Council meeting to order. Monday, August the 6th, 2007, right at 7:03 p.m. The invocation this evening was provided by Councilwoman Linda Bell. The pastor is not able to make it this evening. And the Pledge of Allegiance by the Police Explorers and Councilwoman Amanda Garner. Would you all please stand?
Heavenly Father, thank you for this wonderful evening. Father, as we gather about to do the business of the city, I pray that you would give your elected leaders wisdom tonight, Father, as we do the business that would be in the best interest of the citizens of the city of Homestead. Father, I thank you for everybody that's here tonight, Father, and I just pray for safety, protection, and just blessings upon each and every one of them. Thank you, Father, for our gathering. In your name we pray, Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilwoman Bell and Councilwoman Garner. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Bell? No, here. Councilwoman Garner? Here. Councilman Hodges absent. Vice Mayor Lawson?
Here.
Councilman Porter?
Here.
Councilwoman Waldman is absent. Mayor Warren?
Here. There's no additions, deletions, or deferrals. We move on to special presentation. House of Representative District 118 candidate, Mr. Tony Krapp.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, and audience members. My name is Tony Krapp Jr., and for the past decade, I've served as Chief of Staff to Commissioner Tomas Regalado in the city of Miami. For the past 5 years, I've served as his designee on the Miami-Dade County Homeless Trust, and for the past 7 years, I've had the opportunity to serve as a board member on the Metro Miami Action Plan Trust. I've also created a program as a MAP board member entitled the South Dade Small Business Capitalization Program, which is designed to bring economic development resources to the small business community here in South Miami-Dade County. I'm very pleased to inform you that hundreds of residents have participated in our business fair, which was held earlier this year. You may have read in yesterday's Neighbors. We closed the program this year by awarding 10 small businesses with $5,000 grants to offset the cost of commercial insurance and/or for capital improvements. And I'm proud to tell you that several of those businesses were located right here in the city of Homestead. I'm actually here today to formally introduce myself as a candidate for the Open State House seat, District 118, which includes a very significant portion of your municipality. I'm very dedicated to public service and a better quality of life for all residents of South Miami-Dade County. And in closing, I want to thank you for the opportunity to address the council.
Thank you, Mr. Krapp, and we certainly wish you luck on that upcoming race. If the audience don't know, our current representative is Mr. Ed Bullitt, who is term limited, so that seat is open, and I'm sure Mr. Krapp and others will do everything they can to get elected. So congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. American Red Cross update, South Dade Branch Manager, Councilwoman Bell.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We have with us this evening Jessica Davis, who is the branch manager of basically the Homestead, Florida City Red Cross. And since we are in the throes of hurricane season and August is generally our busy or active months, I thought it would be nice to have Jessica come and give us an update on the Red Cross and what's happening. Jessica, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, and community members. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you the role of the American Red Cross in our community. I would also like to extend my thank you to Councilwoman Linda Bell for inviting the Red Cross tonight. Our South Dade office is located at 1452 North Chrome Avenue, and you're welcome to come over and visit us. We'll provide you with a cup of coffee, fresh coffee, that is. And or you can call us, 305-248-2024. The Red Cross is about serving the community, and we provide disaster relief and education to all our South Dade residents. In the past fiscal year that just ended in June 2007, we provided assistance to close to disaster victims, about 300 of them. And in provision, it includes shelter, food, clothing, at a cost of over $46,000. Now, the disaster assistance provided by the Red Cross is free of charge. This is we provide this assistance thanks to the generous gifts from residents and businesses. We are in the hurricane season right now, and I know to the disappointment of some of you, the Red Cross does not control hurricanes. However, we do have a plan to support the community in case of a hurricane strike. But we also encourage our citizens to have a plan of their own and to have supplies for at least the first 72 hours after a strike. That's very important. But in order to reach disaster victims more expeditiously, we have joined forces with different organizations, and very quickly I'm going to give you a few of those organizations. We have Sembrando Flores Ministries. They have agreed to become a distribution site that will provide at least 50,000 meals a day from their location. Southeast Day Ministerial Alliance, along with other Red Cross volunteers, will help distribute that food and other supplies to those affected by a hurricane. Community Partnership for Homeless has renewed its commitment to the community and to the Red Cross to provide at least 10,000 meals a day. And those are some of the nonprofit organizations. We have other businesses and individuals that are ready to join forces with the Red Cross as well. Now, the Red Cross is not only about hurricanes and fires. We also provide support in the community through health and safety educational programs. We're talking CPR, first aid, lifeguard training, babysitting training, even pet first aid, believe it or not. And this is just a few of the classes that we provide. Everyone is welcome to sign up for any of those courses. This leads me to my last point. We need volunteers. In order for every program and service of the Red Cross to be effective, we need volunteers, and we need them now. Every community should have a disaster action team. And I'm sorry to announce that we don't have an effective disaster action team. They're the ones that provide the assistance, temporary assistance of those victims from a fire, for example. Now, if we have those teams, this will help increase our response time. So if you or anyone you know is interested in becoming a team member of the Red Cross or wants to know more about our programs, please call the office. Once again, 305-248-2024, or you can visit our website at www.miamiredcross.org. Once again, I want to thank you for this opportunity and for allowing the Red Cross to be part of this wonderful community. Now, if you know of anyone that needs assistance and the Red Cross is able to join forces with you, please contact me directly, because we are here to serve our community. Thank you very much.
South presentation of artists, Bob Farnes, director.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. It's a real honor to be here tonight. As you know, the City of Homestead has always had a very deep commitment to the arts in the town, starting with our Seminole Theater and the renovation there, and also your support of Art South. Tonight, we have a new exhibit here coming up. It's titled Sizzling South Florida. It's all different scenes of South Florida. I have two of the artists here tonight, and I'm going to ask them to stand up. Mimi Dixon, first, this is her work over here. Mimi is one of the longest resident artists we've had, and she works in watercolor. And our next, which I know everybody loves, is Mr. Luis Nunez. And you'll see his fantastic Everglades landscapes over here on the right side of the room and behind Vice Mayor. Two of our other artists. One is Betsy Kreisberg, who does these South Florida scenes, and she's currently at the Deering Estate doing an artist in residency program. And then our final artist was Patricia Cummins, who couldn't be here tonight because she's on an artist in residency program in the Painted Desert down out west. So why she picked August to do that in the desert, I don't know, but that's the way it is. Art South is growing by leaps and bounds. We've been very busy out there. We just finished our Juilliard summer camps for the middle school and high school kids, and then our OOPS summer camp for migrant farmer kids through Enfamilia. So we have a little bit of quiet, at least for a short time. We get ready in September to do, we're going to be starting up our service learning program, where we have 80 different high school kids who are at risk for dropping out. They come to classes 1 day a week, and they learn art. And then the key part to this is that they have to take what they've learned and go out into the community and give back. We have a fashion design course over there where they actually sew pillows and blankets and comforters to give to kids in the hospitals. They work with the senior citizens, and they also work with the special needs kids over in Eva King Cooper School. So it's a great program, and I invite everybody to come see it. As you also know, every second Saturday of the month we have our second Saturday open house, and this month is no exception. From 3 to 7 we have 3 different exhibits, new exhibits coming up. One of them is going to be photographs of the Everglades by our resident artist Joey Krasinski. Then the next one is a fantastic sculpture show by Sandra Garcia Pardo, and hers is My Own Diversity, So What is the title of her show. Come see this. There's some really wonderful, wonderful pieces in there. She had her show a couple months ago, and it was so popular we had to bring it back. And last but certainly not least, if you want to see something the way some people's artists' minds work, come see Fernando Viejo's surrealist paintings. He has some phenomenal works. Kind of scary when you think he's thinking these up in his mind, but they're very bright and colorful and very, very wonderful. Again, I do want to thank the City of Homestead for your support. I know in this day and age of property tax assessments and budget realignments, money for the arts is becoming very, very tight. I know the county and Division of Cultural Affairs is having to slice their budget by 30%, which is not a lot to the overall budget, but to us it means a tremendous amount. So we do appreciate your continued support, and I do invite everybody to come over from 3 to 7 this Saturday, where we have some good refreshments and some music, and come see some fantastic art. Thank you.
Next is the Lincoln Marty School Bond Conduit presentation. Good news, you're getting good news, we'll listen to it.
Good news. Good evening, I'm Dick Montalbano with RBC Capital Markets, and I serve as the city's financial advisor. And with me tonight is John Rodstrom, who's a managing director with the Wachovia Bank, and Demetrius Perez, who's an officer with Lincoln Marty Schools organization. About 2 weeks ago, John gave me a call, knowing that I serve as a financial advisor to the city, to see if I thought the city might be interested in being the conduit, and I use the word conduit, it's a legal term, conduit issue for some tax-exempt bonds for the school. Under federal tax law, not-for-profit organizations, even though they don't pay taxes on not-for-profit, cannot issue tax-exempt bonds directly, such as the city would do or the county or the school board. A not-for-profit has to go through a conduit, either a city or a county. Not-for-profits like colleges, universities, and hospitals, and private schools. So John gave me a call to see if the city would be interested, given the fact that some of the facilities are within the city limits of the city of Homestead. After reviewing it, we gave Kurt Ivey a call to discuss it, and the purpose of tonight's meeting is not an action item, just to let the bank
and the school make a presentation. If the city is interested in serving as a conduit, in about 3 or 4 weeks, we'll be coming back with a set of documents. The important thing is that the city in no way is an obligor under the transaction. The investors would be financial institutions, and to make sure that the transaction is done as financial institutions, the par amount or the face amount of the bonds, normally a tax-exempt bond would be done in $5,000 face amounts. So an investor with this, the smallest investment would be $5,000. In this case, it would be $250,000, and there'd be no more than 35 investors. So it's really geared at a syndication of institutional buyers. Wachovia Bank is a current lender of the school and will be arranging the financing for the school. What I'd like to do is let John discuss the transaction, and then let Demetrius explain the organization and the public purpose. But the important thing is our role as your financial advisor will be to review all the documents to make sure that it clearly says that the only security for the repayment is the loan payments by the school. In no way is the city's credit rating or any of the city's assets in any way obligated. You're purely the conduit to facilitate the school achieving a tax-exempt financing. What we have discussed with the school and the bank is if you decide to move forward and the bank is successful in placing these bonds, that the city would receive a fee of $150,000 for the time and effort of its staff and professionals, and for providing the service of the conduit. With that, I'd like to turn over to John, and then I'd be glad to answer any questions that you may have. And again, there's no action today. We'll be back in about 3 or 4 weeks with all the legal documents, and the transaction will probably be completed either late October or early November. So once it starts moving, you could plan on the funds from the fee, but it won't be in the bank before your year end. John?
Good evening. Dick Montalbano did a very good job in describing to you the transaction. It would be a 30-year transaction, and Lincoln Marty's been at this business a long time. I'll let Mr. Perez address you for just a moment. But there are many funds out there, high-yield funds, that love to have the opportunity to buy this type of paper. And it's one of the ways that folks that have missions, that are mission-driven, not-for-profits, can come and access the debt markets and to be able to further their mission. So that's what this financing is about. It's going to take out some of their more expensive debt. It's going to put in place less expensive debt and give them an opportunity to further their mission. And so if you would, I would just like to let Mr. Perez just talk to you about the facilities that he has in Homestead, and just a little bit about their overall mission.
Thank you very much, and good evening. Lincoln Marty started in 1968. We started with one school down in North Dade. And what sets us out from what you would call a traditional, what you might consider traditional private schools, is that we focus on low-income minority populations. Our students, the families that use our services, do not pay for their services. We rely on our contracts with government entities, on subsidized child care, for example, in the area of child care, and other programs that we work with that help these families that traditionally or that normally would not be able to afford private education for their child, or simply an educational choice for their families, to be able to have that choice. In Homestead, we started in Homestead in 1992, right after Hurricane Andrew, where we came in with Miami-Dade County Child Development Services as an emergency provider in the tent cities. And we had such an outpouring of support at that time that we looked immediately for a permanent facility, which we have today at 506 Chrome Avenue. And thereafter we expanded to 137 Northwest 10th Street, and it is our intention to continue to expand. And that's why we are pursuing this bond financing. This will allow us to expand our services, our capacity to serve, and certainly we hope to be able to continue to work closely with the City of Homestead, and I appreciate this opportunity tonight to come before you. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Any questions from any council member? Any questions? Do you need any?
Is it reasonable then to move forward and come back in a couple of weeks with documents?
I'll move that we move forward, Mayor.
Moved by Councilman Bell, we move forward. Is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Second by Councilwoman Garner. No further discussion. All in support?
Just for the record, we've done this before.
Yes, you've done this several times for some senior care living facilities, assisted living, and nursing.
Right. So I just want everybody to know this is not
It's not the first time for the city.
exactly.
Right, and we feel very comfortable that we can do this transaction with any liability at all to the city, and we'll obviously, with Mr. Manobano, carefully review the documents to make sure that that the city is well protected.
Very good.
Thank you.
No further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Dick. Ms. Yvonne Knowles, Main Street update.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, Mr. Ivey. In our ongoing efforts to attract the greater South Florida community to our historic downtown, Homestead Main Street sponsored our first murder mystery tea this past month at Spellbound Books on Chrome Avenue. Over 70 people attended, and from all the kind words, it would seem a good time was had by all. I know the downtown businesses benefited because many reported to me increased sales that afternoon. I'd like to send a special thanks out to our thespians who participated. They are Wanda Brown, Mary Finland, Judy Waldman, Rochelle Beck, Susan Newman, and Courtney Just. Also, the 3 Gs were my husband, Homer Knowles, Jerry Brown, and Mike Richardson. We also would like to thank our narrator, Melody Tyler, whose idea was the murder mystery. And Main Street is busy planning a follow-up for October with a decidedly different twist, so we ask you to all stay tuned. It's going to be a lot of fun and tying into Halloween. The Main Street Facade Improvement Program is progressing with 3 buildings presently undergoing facelifts. The Landmark Hotel at 55 South Flagler has completed their power wash, which is quite a challenge because that building was built in 1916, had never seen a power wash before, and when their job was done, new gaps showed up nobody was expecting, so beware the power wash. Stick and Stein Sports Cafe at 28 South Chrome has their new iron gates under construction, and Marcus & Marcus Law Offices at 317 North Chrome have their exterior walls and roof prep for new finishes. The downtown district and these historic structures will greatly benefit from this important grant program, and we extend our deepest thanks to the council for their support on this important project for downtown. On that note, this past week, Blue Bridge Productions shot a series of commercials in Homestead for Winn-Dixie. The director's comment to us was Homestead's historic district was a living example of America's heritage preserved and protected. He felt that Homestead's unique historic urban center was something that had practically disappeared in South Florida. On his quest to find a downtown to shoot these commercials for this very important client, he traveled all over South Florida and said Homestead was the closest thing that he had in his artistic concept and the client had in their realized product. We in Homestead should be proud of the architectural heritage that our early pioneers left in our care. The Homestead Main Street Annual Meeting and Report to the Community is scheduled for September the 21st at 5:30 at Sticks and Stein Sports Rock Cafe, located at 28 South Chrome Avenue. We invite you to come and hear about our National Historic Trust for Preservation Main Street program and the local chapter. Find out what part you can play in preserving the past while building towards a stronger future and economic future for Homestead. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Mrs. Maria Garza.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, distinguished council. I'm here on behalf of the Mexican-American Council and the farm worker community to thank you for your intervention, Mr. Mayor, and the entire council with the Homestead Housing Authority. 2 weeks ago, we were here, a large group of residents, just asking for your support, asking for you to intervene and to urge the Housing Authority board to continue the negotiations with the school system. And I want to thank you because as we have received the word, that is taking place. The lease has not been signed, or at least I don't know of such thing, but I know it's moving forward, and we thank you so much for that. I want to take a moment just to highlight a couple of important points that I think reflect and highlight the importance of the migrant education program, which is not a standalone program. It's a federally funded program that has been in existence for 40 or 50 years across the United States. But just here in Dade County alone, in the year in the school year 2006-2007, 158 students of migrant farm worker background graduated high school. I'd like to tell you that this represents an increase of almost 600% since 1986 when we started recording graduation of migrant kids. According to Dade County Public Schools records, only 6 migrant students dropped out of school during the year 06-07, only 6. This translates to a school dropout rate of less than 1%. When we know that every school, it doesn't matter the background of the child, those numbers are much higher than that. In 4 major secondary migrant program schools, the number of absences was reduced from 252 students to only 132 students with less than 15 absences in a school year. 15 absences sounds like a lot, but unfortunately we have children from every walks of life who are absent many more days than that. During the past 4 years, the migrant students' AFCET reading scores have risen from 236 to 271. During the year 05-06, migrant students outperformed the non-migrant students in 3 different schools, in 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade. That is outstanding. The migrant ed staff last year made over more than 5,000 home visits to assist parents with their children's education. The migrant ed program is an exemplary program. The staff is definitely committed for excellence education and outstanding service delivery to the children. I want to thank you, Mr. Mayor, and the entire City Council for your continued support. This would not happen without you, and I want to ask the residents if they can please join me in thanking the Mayor and the Council. As I say this, I also know that the lease has not yet been signed. And I want to remind you that school's about to start in less than 2 weeks. And I'm very concerned that if school starts again and these kids do not have a place to go for homework assistance or these home visits to continue, we will not be seeing these outstanding numbers. But hopefully, I'm counting on you for that to take place. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, Maria. We want to thank the migrant community for really coming forth and sharing the problem with us. And I will tell you that we met last Friday morning with one of the members of the board and the executive director. And we shook hands with an agreement that they will forward the lease to the school board and have them to sign it, and the program will continue. So I wanted a board member there to witness the transaction. It took place, and I certainly want to thank Mr. Sierra and Sarah and his staff, and certainly board member Colonel Hartley for their participation in the process. We all agree that the program was first rate, it was high quality, and the program should continue. It got an unbelievable track record of academic excellence, and we agreed that it should continue. So I have no doubt that you'll get a signed lease very shortly, and the program will continue. Thank you. All right, consent agenda, that motion for approval?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Councilwoman Garner and seconded by Councilman Ford. Any questions on the consent agenda?
Mayor, it includes the minutes, and I do have one correction on the minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, under the motion was made for approval by Councilwoman Bell, seconded by Councilman Hodge, to amend the motion to reflect the 9% less than the rollback rate, referring to the tax. It said less than the rollback rate of 5.15. It's less than 9% less than the current rollback rate, which would equal to 5.185. So not less than 9% less than 5.1, and we're really going to be in trouble. So please put that correction on the record. I want that on the record.
Motion of approval with that correction. Moved with the correction.
Thank you.
No other comments. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good. Public hearings, ordinances, land use items. Mr. Attorney.
Yes, please be advised the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment upon any of these items, please indicate the item number you would like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff have made their presentations on each item. Swearing in. All testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish to either be cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the council to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. The full agenda packet on each item is hereby entered into the record, and persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization. Further details of the quasi-judicial procedure may be obtained from the clerk. In accordance with Code Section 2-591, any lobbyists must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, council members must disclose any ex parte communications concerning any items on the agenda.
Mayor,
Mr. Vice Mayor.
when the Northwest moratorium was first put into place, I was contacted by one of the applicants on item F, I believe it's tab 15, expressing his displeasure as to what he felt was the delay occasioned this due to the Northwest moratorium for the purpose of the Northwest Master Plan. That was probably 2 years ago.
Mayor.
Mr. Porter.
Also, there was a couple of emails that were sent today from Mr. Williams. There's no correspondence, just an email that was sent out. I think there was an attachment to the rest of it. They just some informational data, but there was no conversation with it. Just an email. That's on the Sunny Lee project.
I think we all got that email.
Yeah, and just for clarification, I think that email was related to the Sunny Lee site plan approval and not the rezoning that's before you this evening.
Okay. I just wanted to put it out there. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Is that all, Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yes, thank you.
At this time, the clerk will swear in any persons who wish to testify on any of the following quasi-judicial items.
Please rise. Raise your right hand. I state your name. Hereby swear or affirm that the information I present shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Item A, tab 10, is a final order of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting a certificate of use to allow the operation of a restaurant with on-premises sale and consumption of beer and wine located at 115 North Chrome Avenue as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
I'll move it, Mayor.
Moved by Councilwoman Bell, second by Councilwoman Rowland. Any comments? Any comments? This is a public hearing. Any comments from the audience?
I could comment on the rum cake that he makes. It's from Maya's Creole Cafe, and it's a welcome addition to the downtown.
Any comments from the audience? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Walden?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gardner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to tab 11, item B, it's the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request of 33030 Realty Partners, LLC, for a rezoning from general use G and Restricted Retail Commercial District B1 to Retail Commercial District B2 for property legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Bell, second by Councilman Porter. Any question on this public hearing from council? Any initial comments? If not, I'll open the public hearing. Any comments from the audience? Any comments from the audience? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Bell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gardner?
Yes.
Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Coker.
Moving on to item C. Item C is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request of 505 Northeast 18th Avenue LLC for a rezoning from G General Use District to B1 Restricted Retail Commercial District for property located at 505 Northeast 18th Avenue as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. This is first reading.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Bell. Is there a second? Second by the Vice Mayor. Any initial comments from council?
Question, Mayor.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
And I guess we'll go with the next item as well. This is for rezoning. Will a site plan approval come before us at a later time? Or is this subject to site plan approval?
Yes, it will be subject to site plan approval. If there's a small commercial site, the Director of Development Services does have the right to waive that, but in most cases it will come through to you guys.
And I would imagine certainly, Mike, that it's really these two items will effectively move as one project. And really, the purpose of my question is I want to make sure we get another grab at looking at the traffic impacts. These are two major roadways. Fortunately, this project is on a corner, but I wanted to make sure we had that opportunity in the future to look at that.
Yes, and at the time of site planning, you will look at the traffic study for that.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. This is a public hearing. Any comments from the audience? This comes with a 6-0 vote from the Planning and Zoning Board. If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Gardner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bell?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to item D, tab 13. This is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request of 945 Northeast 18th Avenue LLC for a rezoning from Agricultural Use District to B1 Restricted Retail Commercial District for property located at 945 Northeast 18th Avenue as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. This is first reading.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Bell. Is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Second by Councilman Porter. Any comments from council? If not, I'll open the public hearing. Any comments from the audience? Any comments from the audience? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gardner?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item E, tab 14, is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting final plat approval for Lowe's Home Center, Inc., located on the corner of 312th Street, Campbell Drive, and Southwest 162nd Avenue, as legally described in Exhibit A. An approximately 16.5-acre site consisting of 139,410 square feet of commercial retail use and providing for an effective date.
Moved by Councilwoman Waldman. Is there a second? Second by Councilwoman Bell. Any comments from council? If not, I'll open up the public hearing. Any comments from the audience? Any comments from the audience? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gardner?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Your last item under quasi-judicial is item F, tab 15. It's a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting site plan approval for a 6-unit condominium building on approximately 0.6 acres of land located on the south side of Northwest 9th Street between Chrome Avenue and Northwest 1st Avenue as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
I'll move it with the comment.
Second. Moved by Councilwoman Waldman, second by Councilman Porter. Ms. Waldman?
Yes, I just wanted to, for the public to share that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that this has been going on, this is a long drawn-out project, and it was before the Northwest moratorium went into effect, and it was before the garage units were part of the overall plan. And it's my understanding that the applicant has complied with everything that you've asked them to do?
Yes, that's true. This has been around for a long time prior to a lot of those things that came in afterwards.
Okay. And,
Do we have a second yet?
we had a second, yeah.
Mr. Porter.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor?
Thank you. Ms. Garner?
Thank you. I have some comments. The urban designer's notes show that it should not be approved, and I know the designer works very well. They will give and take as long as certain things are met, and it's very concerning to me that changes were asked for that I don't show have been made. I see that we did add windows.
Yeah, at the P&Z meeting, there was more discussion on that between the urban designer and the applicant, and more talk happened after that. They did not put in a door or anything on that side towards Campbell, but they did improve the landscaping and the windows, and they put a walkway in, and then that kind of features.
And are you satisfied with the changes that have been made?
Yeah, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's a difficult site because of the way it's oriented. The short face is towards Campbell, and the long face is towards an alleyway, which is being improved. And so it looks okay from Campbell. You know, it's not facing on Campbell, but it's a multifamily building. Behind, there's commercial towards Chrome, and there's another multifamily building that will be across the alley from it and also to the south of it. So it's a difficult site, and they did a lot to improve from one version to the latest version that we have.
Okay, I understand it's a difficult site. It's just I wanted to make sure that the things you were requesting were being done, because we've worked with you for a long time, and you are the experts. That's why we ask you.
Great, one more question.
Thank you, ma'am.
Another question from Ms. Lawman and then Ms. Bell.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure that, I was under the impression that the sidewalk, the winding sidewalk...
Yes, all that was done from P&Z.
And that the building was pushed back to the east and...
Yes, they did not actually need to push the building back from the east. There was enough space when we looked at it again for the driveway to have enough space for the larger vehicles.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Bell?
Thank you. Actually, Ms. Waldman hit on one of the items. Yeah, when I read the planning and zoning minutes, I saw that most all of the recommendations that were made from the urban designers, as well as planning and zoning, were incorporated in this design. Is that correct? I mean, minus the garage, but I mean, including the setback, which now, and the winding sidewalk, and there was quite a few landscape issues, and all of that is complied with. And I want to remind the community, because I take a look at this. This is a apartment district. This is a zone, multifamily apartment district. So this is 6 units on more than a half of an acre. How many units could they essentially have?
I think 6 was the most that they could have.
6 was max,
yes.
Okay.
They also did put in a rather large tot lot that was some kind of recreation was required, and that's what they did.
And I understand. It's a tough call, but it is a very challenging area. I saw that as well. And I did appreciate all the changes that were made to go along with your recommendations and P&Z's recommendations. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. Ms. Vice Mayor?
Thank you. I know the applicant has a representative here. I want to ask, though, can we talk about what was the delay? This seems to have taken an inordinate amount of time to get before us. Did it go to P&Z and come back? What's the history?
Most of the time, was just downtime. We would give our comments, and there would be a delay for the revisions to come back to us. That was the main delay. And I think there was some working with, the various, getting the architect to do new designs or whatever in that downtime. But it just took a while to go through that process.
Well, and it brings up a bigger picture issue for me, that at what point does someone lose their grandfathering by virtue of the passage of time? I mean, this is not, while it's not free from some of the constraints of some of the earlier design criteria in 03, it seems that, we've gone beyond 2 years here in the Northwest Master Plan, the moratorium, and now the master plan's been put in place. I don't know if that's something we want to look at another issue, that at what point, or is this maybe the last one of those types of situations where we've had this long time period where this property might be treated substantially differently today if an application were made?
This is one of the only ones I can think of that would have gotten before the Northwest moratorium. But you're right, there was a long period of time, but we didn't set up anything at that time when we said, yes, you're in, to say how long you had to get through, and maybe that's something we could set in the future. And we do now have a 1-year limit on site plan, but that's more on site plan approvals. But maybe if you get a waiver from a moratorium, maybe you can put a time limit on that to get your plans back in.
Right. Well, and the comment that I would have particular to this is that, it carries a very old R3 designation that in very limited instances exists and is permitted anywhere, much less in the Northwest area. Number one. Secondly, the master plan designation is for professional mixed use. It was something that was put in place before we knew that the hospital was going to move, and I think that designation was put in place with the hope that that corridor that straddles Northwest First Avenue would evolve into more professional office type space. And as a matter of fact, over the past few weeks, we've seen some of those applications come in, and they've been approved. One just around the corner where an existing duplex or triplex was converted to professional office. And it seems that we're kind of backtracking now that with the professional mixed use, we're sliding back from what we clearly still want the trend to be in that area. And I've always viewed particularly the block between Chrome Avenue running to the west to Northwest First Avenue to be a reliever area for light commercial, professional office type, light retail, as the east side develops and is very high-end rental rates. I think we've all recognized that the west side is potentially going to be the mom and pop type businesses, the more localized professional office, light retail / commercial. And certainly the approval of this project would foreclose a very large piece of property right near the intersection of Chrome Avenue and Campbell from really that ability. And certainly, even though I understand it's permitted over the old zoning designation, we all know that density, which is in effect 10 units per acre, is very troubling to me. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Any other comments from council? If not, I'll open up the public hearing. Any comments from the audience? Any comments from the audience?
The applicant hasn't read.
Any comments from? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, thank you.
If not, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bell? No. Councilwoman Gardner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Losner?
No.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Motion carries.
We are now on legislative matters.
Yes. Legislative matters moving on. Tab 16, Item A. It's a second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the City Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 15 Housing Standards, Article 1 in general, by providing a definition of family and providing that no more than one family may inhabit any dwelling unit. Amending Chapter 30 Zoning, Article 1 in general, to revise the definition of family to provide for consistency with Chapter 15, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date. This is second reading.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Bell. Is that second?
Second, Mayor.
Second by Councilwoman Garner.
Mayor.
Ms. Garner?
Thank you. I know this is second reading, but for the benefit of anyone who didn't hear it first reading, this came from council, and we're trying to address the issue of multiple people living in houses, and we had no way to enforce that with our code. So we've changed the definition of family so that it's actually very specific now, reading, family shall mean an individual of 2 or more persons related to one another by blood, marriage, or adoption, or no more than 5 unrelated persons living together as a single housekeeping unit, which defines it, allows us to go out with our code enforcement and actually enforce that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Garner. Any other comments from council? If not, I'll open the public hearing. Any comments from the audience? Any comments from the audience? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gardner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to item 2, tab 17, second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the city code by amending Chapter 16, License Tax and Businesses, to conform with recent revisions to Florida Statute Chapter 205 by changing the term occupational license and business license to local business tax receipt, making conforming amendments to other affected provisions of the city code, including sections 2-411, 3-8, 3-10, 3-11, 6-37, 6-53, 7-40, 19-53, 19-105, 23.5-1, 23-46, 27-13, 27-47, 27-48, 27-49, 27-50, 27-52, 27-79, 30-1, 30-45, 30-241, 30-256, 30-531, and 30-534, clarifying and amending provisions to conform with applicable law, enhancing certain enforcement provisions, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date. This is second reading.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Bell. Is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Second by Councilwoman Garner. Any comments from council?
Mayor.
Ms. Garner?
Thank you. Good job, James, with all the patches. This is just a revision to meet the state statute, and we do have a lot of licenses in our code, which is why there's so many dashes that we're amending. The state felt that when someone is issued a license, people thought that that meant that they were competent to do business, so they're just changing the term. Instead of license, we're going to say local business tax, and you will receive a receipt. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Garner. This is a public hearing. Any comments from the audience? Well, we got a very quiet audience this evening. Good. It's early. No comments from the audience. I will close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Bell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gardner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Tab 18, item 3, is a second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the city code by amending Chapter 28, Utilities, Article 7, Electricity, Division 4, Electric Distribution, by amending Section 28-292, Application Fees, Section 28-294, Fees for Processing the application, in Section 28-320, Electric Line Extension Policy and Procedure, in order to increase the fees for certain administrative and other work required for the provision of electric utility services, including application fee, application processing, and line extension policy and procedure fees, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date. Second reading.
So moved, Mayor.
Moved by Councilwoman Garner, second by Councilman Porter.
Quick comment, Mayor.
Ms. Bell?
I just want to assure the audience that's listening, these are just pass-through charges. These are not charges that are going to the specific customer. When we have developers come along, and some of our fees were so outdated and so old, these are pass-through kind of recovery types of charges. And it's not coming into your personal home. These are recovery charges that the city needed to recoup its expenses. I mean, we were very outdated. We were charging $20 per hour for field surveys, $12 per hour for engineering and time drafting. I mean, we were very much behind, and so we're really just, these are pass-through charges. I wanted to assure the public with all of the current electric charges that this is not something that's going to affect them personally. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. This is a public hearing. Any comments from the audience? Any comments from the audience? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Gardner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bell?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to tab 19, item 4, it's a second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the city code by amending Chapter 28, Utilities, Article 3, Sewers, Division 5, Service Rate and Charges, by creating Paragraph D of Section 28-141 Rate Schedule to provide for a charge for properties which fail to connect to the sanitary sewer system of the city when required to do so. Amending Chapter 28, Utilities, Article 4, Water and Sewer Connection, Division 1 generally, add Section 28-157, failure to comply with connection requirement, by amending that section to conform with Section 28-156, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date.
So moved, Mayor.
Moved by Councilwoman Garner. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Porter.
Question.
Question, Ms. Gorman?
I've talked about this before when this issue has come up. Very concerned about the folks who are on fixed incomes, and also just general working class people that can't afford the cost. And what was it, $4,000 or $5,000 to connect?
Yeah, that would be about right.
$4,000 or $5,000. So I just ask you, I realize that we have to do something, but I'm just asking the city, please, to work with these folks, the elderly, the fixed income folks, and if they have a hardship, please work with them. I know they want to be on our system, and I know that this is the right thing to do, but I just ask that as a city that we work with them.
Thank you, Ms. Wells. Mr. Porter?
One thing, too, in the previous discussion when we had the similar problem in Sky Vista, the being mandated to attach to the sewer system is a mandate by the county, correct? So, unfortunately, if we put the pipe down the middle of the road, it's a mandate by the county for everyone to hook up, because the intent is to get everyone off of the underground systems that are currently in place. So, unfortunately, it's not just the city saying come tie into the existing sewer system, but it's really being forced on us by the higher government.
Correct. We are required to mandate that they tie into our system if it's available. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. This is a public hearing. Any comments from the audience? Any comments from the audience? Yes, sir. Give us your name and address for the record.
My name is George Wright. I own property over in the area where Mr. Porter was talking about in Sky Vista. And we had this issue quite a few years ago. Mr. Ivy was involved, and the city promised all the elderly people and all the people down there that we only had to hook up when our sewer failed, and we all had agreement with that. When our sewers failed, they would not give us permits to fix our septic tanks, fix our drain fields, fix nothing, that we had to hook up. Is this part of that issue that we're talking about, Jeff?
No, this is a different charge. Well, yes, it does. It is part of that. We worked with Sky Vista individually on that with the individual issues that we had there. But what this does is puts a standby charge, which did not really exist then, I don't think, in this format. And what it does, it's like the base rate that you would pay if you had attached to the sewer. Until people are made to attach to the sewer. The individual agreement we have, I would grandfather that in and not include it.
Is it going to be grandfathered in, for the people in Sky Vista?
Right. We're not looking.
Okay, I was just wanted to make sure of that, because it was part of, it was a long process. There was a lot of older people over there, and we fought hard over that it was done. And I just happened to stumble into listening to it and stuff. I wanted to make sure that still stood, because the way I read it, if you were in 300 foot, well, that 300 foot could keep carrying. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments from the audience? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gardner?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on, tab 20, item 5 is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, providing for a 4-month extension to the 24-month building moratorium enacted by ordinance number 2005-0731 and amended by ordinance number 2006-0833 on issuance of certain development orders and development permits within the Northwest neighborhood, generally located west of US 1 to the western boundary of the city, north of Maury Drive to the northern boundary of the city as shown on Exhibit A, exempting specified single-family detached residential, commercial, office, industrial, and other specified uses, and providing for an effective date. This is second reading.
So moved. Moved by Councilwoman Bell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by the Vice Mayor. Any comments from the council? If not, I'll open a public hearing. Any comments from the audience? Any comments from the audience? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gardner?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Motion carries.
21 is an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the city code by amending Article 5, payment of subsistence and travel expenses of Chapter 21 personnel by revising the provisions as authorized by Section 166.02110B, Florida statutes, providing for severability, inclusion in the code, and an effective date is the second reading and public hearing.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Bell, is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Second by Councilwoman Garner. Any comments from council? If not, I'll open up for a public hearing. Any comments from the audience? Any comments from the audience? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gardner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Sorry, that was a first reading. Next is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving a request to vacate a portion of Southeast 3rd Road between Southeast 1st Drive and Southeast 2nd Drive, and reserving to the city all rights over any needed public utility easements, legally described in Exhibit A, and providing for an effective date.
I'll move it, Mayor.
Moved by Councilwoman Wallman, second by Councilman Porter. Any questions? Any questions? If not, I'll open a public hearing. Any comments from the audience? Any comments from the audience? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments from council? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gardner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving a request to vacate a portion of Southeast 4th Road between Southeast 1st Drive and Southeast 2nd Drive, and reserving to the city all rights over any needed public utility easements as legally described in Exhibit A, and providing for an effective date.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Bell, second by Councilman Porter. Any questions?
Question, Mayor.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
Tried to ask this question on the last one. What's the genesis, if you will, of this request?
This is on Sacred Heart, or the road goes to the Sacred Heart property. And the first vacation, actually there's a building there already. And then the second one runs on the easterly side between where you go down to Chuckwagon and that strip mall. If you keep going, it's between the old hamburger place that used to be there and then they acquired.
Sonic, the old Sonic.
Thank you, yes, Sonic. And their property, their original property.
You know our food.
But this was, I see for sale signs there. Is this in connection with a pending sale or building permits, or what brought it to the forefront?
I don't know for sure, but what I've been told is they may be planning on building a new sanctuary on the Sonic property. But I don't know.
Well, because I've seen for sale signs there, and other than the fact that if somebody wants to make a difference that this is a church, prior property owners that were about to be under development, this is a half an acre of commercial property that's very valuable that we are giving away, and we've had some good experience lately where monies were proffered to the city in exchange for those vacations of right-of-way. I don't have a problem if they're going to do some expansion of the existing facility, but when I see for sale signs out there, I see us releasing property that may very well be worth $300,000 or $400,000 for half an acre.
Ray, do you have any additional info? I was only told that. I don't know for a fact.
The applicant has discussed with staff the possibility of building a sanctuary on that site. Whether that's up for sale or anything like that, I do not know. I do know that that property is owned by one name. The other two properties are owned by another reverend. And their intent is to, I guess, consolidate all three lots. Now, from a traffic point of view, of the two vacations, that one's the most logical to vacate, because once you go through and everything starts to build up, like across the way, the southwest area, that's gonna be a two-story downtown type of development, and it's just going to make that intersection much safer, because right now you have three roads intersecting, and so the vacationing of that just for safety reasons at this time seems possible.
No, I understand that the vacation makes sense, but, forget for a minute who and what owns that piece. I'm having a hard time reconciling why we're giving up property that certainly makes that large piece of vacant property on US 1 far more valuable. We're adding half an acre. We're giving away city property.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's the point. If you'd like us to go back
Well, could we do it with some restriction? I think the Vice Mayor brings up a good point. If you're going to expand the sanctuary, that's one thing, but...
If they're going to sell it,
And I have seen for sale signs there.
Yeah, so we may want to, is there some way we can, Mr. Attorney, add some restrictions on?
The other thing you could do is, if at some point they're going to have to come in with a site plan, if they're going to expand the sanctuary, you could reserve, you could do it at that point when they come to you with an actual plan.
That would be, so seem to me to be the safeguard.
Okay.
Would it be already vacated? Or just...
No, you basically don't vacate it now if they come to you with a plan and you
Vacate as part of the site plan.
Ms. Bell?
Thank you. And everything that I had read about this current vacation and the request for the vacation, it was because of the dangerous conditions as far as darting across the road and the utilization of that. So that being said, it makes sense to have the vacation, and there is a good point made. But I was under the impression that we couldn't request any type of financial reimbursements or whatever on a road vacation. But we were absolutely forbidden to do that unless they wanted to voluntarily proffer that. Is that correct? Because I had inquired that a long time ago about other road vacations and said, why are we not requiring? And I was told we couldn't.
Right, that's correct. The reason I was suggesting the approach that I was suggesting was that way you would know that you would be vacating it for the purposes of expanding this religious institution as opposed to for land speculation or to just increase the value of the property. So that's why I suggested it the way I did.
Right, and I think that's a good point. I think the Vice Mayor brings up a good point. But if philosophically, if the road vacation makes sense and it's a good decision, and we can't require any financial reimbursement anyway, it's almost a moot issue. So that's why I didn't bring it up. So that's what I'm saying.
No road exists there. It's a hypothetical right-of-way through a grass lot, correct?
Yes.
Well, also...
The same owners on both sides.
Well, one is, there are two reverends, so different names. So, I'm sorry, I don't remember the names of one reverend, I'm sorry, I don't know the names.
Typically, I think that's how the church may hold title. It's in the name
I didn't know that. It was just...
the Archbishop of Miami or whatever. That's really not a different ownership. So the vacation of that is not really going to two different property owners. It's going in effect to the Archdiocese.
But I would like, I think if it's for the enlargement of the church, that's a good thing. But anyway, I just wanted to make that point. Anyway, that's it, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. Any other comments from council? This is a public hearing. Any comments from the audience? Any comments from the audience? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any final comments?
Question.
I thought was a motion and a second, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Either someone amend the motion to incorporate the Vice Mayor concerned, if not, we go with the original motion.
Who made the motion?
At this point, you could either vote for it or against it. If you vote for it, it's obviously done. If not, you can either suggest doing something later when they come in with the site plan, or just deny it at this point.
Mr. Porter?
Well, I think clearly the first road that has the buildings on it, there's no question. No question. The second vacation, I looked at it as the traffic issues as well, but I also agree with the Vice Mayor that we shouldn't, if they want to do what they want to do and join the two properties and expand the church organization, I think that's perfect, that's fine. But I didn't think they were, I thought the for sale signs were up towards the Chuck Wagon property or the properties around there. But if it protects us, and it does, I have no problem with amending, if we want to amend the motion, just to have them come in with something to let us know that they're not going to just sell the property.
Well, what I was suggesting is that if that's what your intention is that you should just wait until they have a site plan for the new property. And then as part of the site plan, they would come in and they would say, we need this vacating.
Well, that's with the assumption that the site plan, they would have to expend monies to do the site plan, and then they would have no guarantees that the council would approve that vacation. So you're making them do some due diligence with really no clear answer at this particular point from the council.
Just providing options, that's all.
I know, you're making it more difficult. As you always do.
Well, we may have to go in faith and just know that the church's going to do the right thing and approve the vacation and be done with it.
Pardon the pun, right? No,
Yeah.
I think we should vote on it as it stands.
Yeah, okay.
Just call it.
Have we have a motion in a second?
Yes, Linda Bell moved and Jeff Porter seconded.
Let's have a roll call. Thank you.
Councilwoman Bell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gardner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rossman?
I'm not fooling with lightning, yes.
Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Miami-Dade County, Florida, approving and adopting an agreement between the United States Department of Justice, Drug Enforcement Administration, the City of Homestead Police Department, providing for an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Bell, second by Councilman Porter. Any comments from council? Any comments from the audience? This is a grant.
No, this is a...
Is this a word with the grant? Agreement with the Department of Justice, yeah, okay. No comments from the audience. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Gardner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rossman?
Yes.
Councilman Porter?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bell?
Yes.
Mayor Warren?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Do we have any public comments at this time? Any public comments?
We can delay because this gentleman brought it up.
You have to go to the, yeah, she can.
We have a handheld mic.
Oh, over here with that.
Bring the mic to her.
We have a mic, George.
Fred, let us speak first and then you next, okay?
Pardon?
The lady.
Let the lady that speak first, Fred, and then you next.
I wanted to say thank you to the mayor and the council.
Give us your name and address for the record.
My name is Nancy Lones. I'm here on behalf of Pinecrest Presbyterian Church to say thank you. Last week, I was privileged to go to the 5th annual State of Homestead address and hear wonderful things about Homestead, the new hospital, the renovation of housing, parks being renovated. But the most magnificent thing that you have done is to reach your hands down to small children, to give them a hand up by signing the lease with the Housing Authority and the county for the preschool children migrants program. We thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm Fred Rhodes. I live at 101 Northwest 21st Street, Homestead, Florida. I was born and raised in this city, and I appreciate the work that the mayor and the ladies and the gentlemen on the council are doing. But some things I don't know how happening that no one seems to know anything about. On about the 22nd of this month, I wrote a letter to Rick Strauss, Assistant City Manager. Dear Mr. Strauss, I'm requesting a list of all the property owners that own land in the CRA Community Redevelopment Agency Program, which you are in charge of. Names, addresses, and phone numbers, if the phone numbers are available. I need this information as soon as possible. Sincerely, Fred Rhodes. About 3 days later, I got a letter back from Mr. Strauss. Request for documents. Dear Mr. Rhodes, I received your request for the list of names, addresses, and phone numbers of all property owners who own land within the community redevelopment area. A list of this type is not available from the city or the CRA. We do not maintain a list that contains this information either in whole or in part. Sincerely, Rick Strauss. 2 days later, I called the city clerk. The next day, this is the list I requested. Mr. Strauss didn't know anything about it. I don't presume. But the thing I'm concerned with, I'm a property owner in the CRA redevelopment. I never got a notice about any hearing or anything pertaining to this going into the CRA or changing of zoning or anything. I paid $500 for each lot I had changed 20 years ago for industrial zoning. I checked with some city people, and they had a hard time finding any advertisements about this zoning change, about the CRA in the city of Homestead. I finally found a lady in City Hall showed me an ad about that big in the Miami Herald. I don't know if it was 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days, but I don't take the Miami Herald. A lot of people don't take the Miami Herald. But I receive notices every month from Dade County about zoning changes, special use permits, all over Homestead that I own land near it and adjacent to it. But I never received anything from the city, and I don't think anyone did. Here's a list of names right here, and I'll guarantee you none of these people received a notice about this changing. How we got the CRA in Homestead, I do not know. But when the man that's in charge of it doesn't think there's a list, here's a list right here. Here's a list. My zoning has been changed. I have 2 lots left down there in Homestead. I had a building down there, and I had a lot next to that I've sold since this CRA's been involved. A member of the council was my attorney, and he was the buyer's attorney. That property was owned in Dade County as industrial, and it was sold as industrial. Last year, I got a letter from Mr. Strauss that I took to Metro and asked them to change the zoning that is not industrial anymore, and I'm paying a high tax dollar on it. Metro hasn't changed it. That land's still zoned and Dade County is industrial. But I can't get a permit to build anything because it would be wrong if I tried to. But I think you people need to take a good hard look at this CRA. I don't know how it got here. I never read anything in the paper about it coming here, but they just changed the zoning. For instance, property down there where Blake Buick is, it's zoned industrial. Right across the street, Mr. Wright has about 7 or 8 lots there that back up to my lots. His was zoned industrial. Mine was zoned industrial. Why didn't they make our property industrial? They made that property industrial. I talked to a man that doesn't work here anymore. He said they had a meeting and just went through there real arbitrarily. I had a roof truss plant on Redland Road. Thank God they didn't change that. I sold it, and thank God I sold it before they changed it. But something needs to be done here. Mr. Blaylock, the neighbor of mine, right across the street from property I own on Southwest 4th Street, he's trying to improve his property. He's trying to upgrade his property. CRA says he can't upgrade it. He can't do anything there. Well, what the hell is going on here? The city council and the mayor re-elected every one of you people. And basically, you're doing a good job. I'm sure that you don't know what the hell is going on with this deal. I don't think you would have arbitrarily changed the zoning on lots that I spent money to have zoned industrial. Change that without, I knew you didn't know about it, you wouldn't have done it. And what I'm asking you tonight to do is let's back up. I don't know how CRA got in here, but let's see how we can get out of here. Let's see if they can get out of here quick as they got in here. There hasn't been a building built in the southwest section of Homestead except 3 or 4 little houses that I think the city's financing or paying for. It hasn't grown a bit. Industrial zoning is something you don't have much of in Homestead. Let's get the zoning change back. I want my zoning back. I want to sell my land or build on it. And just like Mr. Blaylock, he wants to build on his land. He wants to upgrade it. But they can't do anything with it. They want you to do this. They want you to build this. They want you to do that. Well, Robert Sullivan's bar. He died, his wife died, his daughter's running it. She needs to get rid of that building. They had a Cuban man wanting to buy it. He didn't want the bar. He's going to tear it down and build a shopping center there. She told him he had to go to CRA and find out what to do. He went to CRA and he came back and told her, said, I can't buy your land. He said, if you gave it to me, I wouldn't take it. There's too many requirements and too much to do. But let's have a meeting. Let's these people, you run this city. CRA don't run this city. You people run this city. The mayor and this council run this city. Let's back up and straighten this mess out. It's a hell of a mess, really. You talk to anybody down there that owns some property. Talk to any of these people that own this property here. They can't do anything with that land. There's too many restrictions on it. Put the land back like it was zoned. And have a public hearing on it. So if, like Mr. Blaylock, he wants to upgrade his property, why can't he come before this council and mayor and listen to his story? My goodness, he's a neighbor of mine. When I had a place right across the street, they were good neighbors. I don't have any objection to him upgrading his property, and we shouldn't have any objections to anyone upgrading their property. But something needs to be done about this, Mr. Mayor, council members. Find out what we got to do. But when Mr. Strauss didn't even know this list was here, I know one thing, these people never got any notification. I never got any notification. The only thing was in the Miami Herald. I'm sure you got a good attorney over there. I know he is. And he'll probably tell you that the ordinance says that all you have to do is put a little ad in the paper. But I'll tell you something. If we get a good Philadelphia lawyer and we take this thing to court, they're going to tell you one thing, that we don't buy that and you shouldn't buy it either. I want you to do something about it. I'm up here pleading with you. Let's help everybody. Let's help Mr. Blaylock. Let's help Mr. Wright. He can't sell his property. He had a chance to sell it. He can't sell it. Too many restrictions on it. The CRA might be a great thing, but I don't know what it's great for.
Let us look into it, okay?
Pardon?
We'll look into it. We'll look into it, Fred.
Oh, I hope you'll try to do something, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Good evening. For the record, my name is John Sanchez, Vice President, General Manager of Blaylock Oil Company. Mr. Blaylock happens to be my father-in-law, and I too want to come before the council, Mr. Mayor, and share some concerns we have with unintended consequences regarding the Southwest Neighborhood Redevelopment Plan. As you probably know, Blaylock Oil owns two bulk plants, one oil, one primarily motor fuel in the Southwest neighborhood. One's located on 33 Southwest 4th Street, which was purchased and has been paying taxes since 1968. That is the bulk plant that Mr. Rhodes was referring to, where right now we critically need to expand to accommodate growth, modernization, to remain viable as a business entity. And according to the redevelopment plan, we're precluded from doing this in a cost-effective manner. Together, combine that bulk plant with our primary motor fuel plant on Flagler Avenue, which has also been paying taxes since 1975. We employ over 30 people with a combined annual salary of over $1 million. Our projected gross sales this year are going to be about $45 million. That's money that stays and circulates in this community. We feel that this was done perhaps as an oversight, unintended, when you're dealing with such a voluminous plan, such as the redevelopment plan for the Southwest neighborhood. We too feel that there wasn't perhaps enough adequate notice, or we would have voiced our concerns more voicefully earlier on in this process. But like any business, if you're going to remain viable as a business entity, you have to be able to expand, modernize, and grow and adapt.
New rules which the families must obey.
Hey.
That's modernization. Huh?
There you go. Thank you. And in order to remain viable as any business entity, we need to be able to do these things. And right now, we're completely hamstrung. We're precluded. We feel that we have been providing a valuable service to the community for years, serving agriculture, a cornerstone for years of this community, as well as you can't imagine the amount of friends we have when a hurricane warning comes up. We really do need to readdress this issue and remedy it so that we can find some binding solution, because as a bulk plant in Dade County, we can't relocate. There's no option for us. And we're going to stay in the business. I hope my kids continue it after that, and we need to remain viable, and right now this plan has precluded us from doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name's George Wright. Like Fred, I've been in the community my whole life. My father actually sat on the council with Fred years ago, and Miss Campbell. I purchased this piece of property thinking I could expand and, start new businesses and stuff in the community. And I've tried every way in the world to look at this situation, and nobody wants it because of the way it's set up. Everybody said, we'll go down and look at, 2 years ago when I started looking at this whole thing, they said, well, there's a guy going to start development of the same type warehouse apartments and stuff in a certain section. Well, 2 years went by, 3 years went by. Nobody's built nothing like they said. So I figured, you know what, I'll turn around and we'll just liquidate the property because you can't get nowhere. No one wants to build on it. Nobody wants to buy it the way it's set up. I mean, not even close. And one of the persons that was actually looking at it said, well, could we build warehouses? Well, they checked with Ray Ortiz. No, can't build, can't do this, that. The guy said, well, what kind of sense does it make? You want to build these warehouse apartments next to a radiator shop in the middle of 2 bulk plants. I mean, the area's been industrial, like Mr. Rhodes said, forever. You got a car lot that was across the street that they made industrial. I mean, would you want your family to live on top of an apartment next to a bulk plant in a radiator shop that's pumping out fumes? That's where my property is, right behind it. So they're going to live on top of it, and as these fumes are blowing over, this is what the city wanted. It's really got everybody handicapped down there. If you look at the whole area, you got a steel plant, you got 2 bulk plants, you got a radiator, and they're not going nowhere because, like he said, he can't relocate. Plus, you have people in this community dying to spend money in Homestead, dying to build industrial park. I have people beg me, hey, I had a guy that would set up a plumbing store there, but he couldn't do it because he couldn't add outside PVC. Well, that stuff's not even, it's not a sore subject. It's not fume. It's not toxic. It don't blow up if it catches on fire, but yet you're completely surrounded by it. I don't want to sell it. I'd rather expand my businesses in Homestead. I've tried that. I've turned around, I bought the Greyhound bus station. People seen what I've done there. I guarantee it looks better than it ever has. Ever has. I got a development that I spent $55,000 on to build warehouses right beside it. Approved all the way through the city. Next thing I know, find out the city made a mistake. There's a sewer line that's not deep enough to take my project. I got promised that within 6 months we'll have a sewer line, to change to redo the sewer line through the area because the sewer system's totally inadequate. The city begged me on this project to move. They begged me. If we would have built the warehouses and the design like it was, it would have worked. But they begged me. They said, we would like to move it so it'd be aesthetically nice. I had no problem with that. I did my part. Why am I handicapped on the whole project? Because the city hadn't completed their part on dragging their feet and making it happen. I know they're working on it. I keep getting told they're working on it and they promised it. But I've already invested my $50,000 plus the cost of the property. It's ready to go just by something happening. All I ask of the council is at least step up to the plate and let this stuff happen. And where Mr. Rhodes is talking about, none of you would let your family live there, but yet you want us to build warehouses with apartments on top and want their families to live there. It's an industrial area that could be kept very nice and very clean by a good way to look at it. And they're all right. You need to look at it and make it happen because we elected you and we made it happen. And I've lived here 50 years. And I've never seen this change like this. You know, they want to make something that something's not. You know, you have an area that you promised that, you know, that people said they're going to build these apartments. That was 3 years ago. Ain't nobody broke ground yet. Big question, why? And y'all need to answer that, why? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wright.
Got your glasses. Somebody's glasses. Fred?
Mayor, I really think that we do need to take a very serious look at this, especially with some of the businesses in the area. When we first were discussing the Southwest Master Plan, and I know these are unintended consequences of a very good master plan, and when we were first discussing this, I met with a lot of the business leaders within the area, and we were assured that those with the existing businesses, as long as that business remained what it is, they could enlarge, they could improve their business, that it only affected if it was going to be a brand new business. But I think there's a lot of good points made here tonight that who is going to put an apartment that's going to be next to a block parent or right in a heavily industrial area, and it tends to be on a bit of the outskirts of the Southwest Master Plan. So I think it's something we should probably take a look at and task the CRA to take a look at, seriously. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. To answer a couple of questions, on Mr. Wright's property, Greyhound, in the Pioneer Commerce Park, we have just finished the design plans. It's in Bryan Shop and Procurement. The bid's already completed. It's under final review and should be released in the next couple of weeks for that project on Northeast First Drive.
Good.
All 3 locations are ready to go for bidding. On the second question, John, the Southwest Master Plan, that downtown area on Southwest 4th Street is downtown mixed use. It's limited to what it can do there. We're working on it right now with Kimberly Horn to look at that Southwest 4th quarter right now to see if we can do some changes. I can't promise anything. It's a moving document, but we're working on it.
Good.
Thank you. That's up. Rick has been working with Kimberly Horn and legal on this.
Mr. Powell and Mr. Vice Mayor. Mr. Powell?
Ed Powell, 2274 Southeast 27th Drive in Keysgate. We were away for the last city council meeting, and we happened to be on a cruise, so I had time to reflect on some of the things. I would like to thank the mayor for his State of the City address last week, very informative. Hopefully I'm not stealing anybody's thunder here tonight, but the entire speech was reprinted thanks to Mr. Dill, South Bay's new leader, and excerpts in the Miami Herald. Thanks, Ms. Del Gloria, for that. Also, people complain that it's held during the day and they work. That speech is available in text form on the website. It's available in instant replay form as well. And I have some examples of what the mayor was addressing as far as growth in the city. We all saw in the newspaper the new Budweiser distributor who bought Silver Cloud has announced a doubling of the warehouse space in the Park of Commerce. And you'll notice out there the land's being cleared as we speak. You also notice there's a building that's under construction just west of Contender Boats. I don't know what it is, but it's in the Park of Commerce. CEA. The city's, we know they're expediting the sale of the Park of Commerce, trying to get that developed. We know there's quite an interest there. Planning and Zoning Board, which I am a member, this Wednesday, we're going to hear a proposal for an industrial warehouse over off Campbell on the west side, 41,000 square feet of industrial warehouse. And probably 3 months ago, the Planning and Zoning had heard a similar, smaller project in the same southwest area. So that's rather encouraging. Also, if you noticed, coming off the turnpike in Campbell, you now see that the weeds have been scraped away, and they're starting to do work, the DDR Pavilion project. So that's going to happen at some point. We also know that the Lowe's project is well underway. Trying to help the city, as Councilman Hodge pointed out one time, Ed Powell tries to come up with solutions as well as problems. Well, we all know that tax revenues is quite a hot subject these days, and everybody's scrambling to come up with innovative ways, and are we going to raise taxes, not raise taxes, we're going to have limits on them. I've got a few things that I thought might be a nice incentive, a nice way to raise our taxes. How about if we double or triple the fines for code violations? $200 for a sign, let's double that, let's triple that. How about doubling and tripling fines for moving violators, and repeat offenders have an escalation for those offenders? If you remember, or you've been reading in the mail, some of the states have issued traffic fines in the amount of $3,000 for somebody traveling over 15 miles over the speed limit. That's one thing we could do. We had a presentation about red light surveillance here a month or so ago, put up at no cost to the city. So that would bring in revenue to the city and also save on some of these red light runners. Another thing, traveling these major corridors, I'd love to see some more radar speed enforcement. On occasion, you'll see one on Kingman, you might see one on Palm Drive. But they should be there every morning and every night. They would have a heyday with the people speeding on the roads. Another thing I see downtown, we have signs on Chrome that says 2-hour limit parking. Well, I don't know that if anybody drives around with a little scooter with a little piece of chalk like they used to do in the big cities, and they would mark your tires and you'd move it or you'd erase the chalk so you wouldn't get a ticket. But how about if we hire meter maids or the equivalent and start charging some of these people for parking all day in 2-hour parking areas. And the other thing is increased fees for the use of public facilities. Somebody wants to use a ball field, somebody wants to have a picnic, let's raise the fees for that. Just a few ways where we might increase some of our tax revenues. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you very much. I'm sure Ms. Bell have taken all your revenue sources down to
Actually,
as we go through the budget process. I'm sure she'll...
Actually, ma'am, Mr. Shahad and I have been in discussions about quite a few innovative cost-saving ideas. I hadn't exactly talked about tripling or quadrupling fines. That probably wouldn't be terribly popular, but we are definitely looking into ways into saving for our citizens.
Thank you.
And actually, oh yeah, I'll save it.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
I was going to make a comment on some of the comments that were made tonight on the Southwest Master Plan. You know, none of these concerns are new. I know that Mr. Rose and others voiced them for this particular area lying in Chrome and bound by Chrome Fourth and generally the railroad tracks. These are not new concerns. It's a very specialized area. And I know I, at the time, was very concerned and had heard from a lot of property owners then and continue to hear from these and other property owners who are having some of those very same issues. And while the master plan is an overall a good idea and a laudable goal and a good bottom line for that community and provides incentives for the kind of redevelopment we want, I hope that we can really sit down with the map and aerial pictures and take a good hard look at the practical implications of, as Mr. Sanchez so well put, the unintended consequences in this very specialized industrial area that's on the fringe of the Southwest area. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. And thanks to the public for your comments, and we'll follow up on those concerns and recommendations. Councilwoman Wallman. No, I'm sorry, Mr. Manager.
Just one thing, Mayor, and I'll make it quick. I have before you a recommendation from the Evaluation Committee on RFQs for our architectural and engineering services. And these are our continuing professional services. We've done this before. It's time to renew those professional services. And I'm recommending that we approve this list of architects and engineers. When we do this ahead of time, pre-qualifying architects and engineers to do work in the city. With the quantity of work we've got going, this will expedite us to be able to do these projects because the A&E people have already been qualified. Then we merely have to go and get bids from those that are interested in the project and move on from there.
Is there a motion?
So moved, Mayor.
Moved by Councilwoman Bell, second by Councilman Porter. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
That's all, Mayor.
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Manager. Councilwoman Woolman?
Thank you, Mayor. I spent the most part of my time the last couple weeks assisting, and I say assisting, Patty and Marlene and Lillian in the State of the City address with just the arrangements. I was their helper. And I want to congratulate you, Mayor, and I also want to say thank you to the staff for working so hard and putting it together. You did a wonderful job.
Thank you, Ms. Woolman. Is that it?
That's it.
That's it. Councilwoman Bell?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Powell, so astutely gave me such an entree into my first item on my agenda tonight, and that is red light running. And actually, this is day one of National Stop on Red Week, and it will run through August 11th. And about 2 months ago, I had a presentation. I had a presenter from Traffic Packs come into council, and I had attended a workshop in Pinecrest, and actually I've lobbied on this actual issue in Tallahassee and met with the sponsor and actually lobbied in committee. And we have a great ordinance that's been brought forth by our attorneys, and it was sent to committee. So what I would like is I would like an update on that. And there was an article in the Soapbox from Officer Jerome Brody, Traffic Programs Coordinator from the Florida City Police Department, and he wrote in the Soapbox about running red lights, how costly and dangerous it is. And I thought how appropriate it is. Can you imagine it's become so dangerous that there's actually a National Stop on Red Week now in our nation because of that. And I wanted to read the first paragraph. According to the Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles, in 2005, there were 96 fatalities and 6,300 injuries caused by motorists running red lights. And these numbers are going up exponentially every single year. Florida ranks at the top of the list of states for intersection crashes, and a third of those are caused by running red lights. And that's a very sad statistic for our state. So we really have come a long way. I know you referred it to the Safety Committee, so I would like to get, at one point, maybe bring it to the COW, our next COW. We can get an update from Mr. Porter and the Safety Committee on the status of this legislation, where we are, if we can get this ordinance passed and brought forward. I want to say that the fact that it would generate revenue is just a side issue. The number one issue is safety. It's public safety. This has become the premier public safety issue in the nation, not just in the state of Florida. So I think it's very, very important that we move and move quickly. So, Mayor, with your permission, I'd like that to go to the Committee of the Whole, and maybe Mr. Porter can have a report for us on that. Thank you so much. Also, I wanted to say what a wonderful groundbreaking we had on the Lily Lawrence Boat groundbreaking. It was very nice to see such a beautiful historic building be so well utilized. That will now be the home of our Chamber of Commerce, and what a wonderful home for them as well. I'm very excited about that. A lot's been said on the State of the City address, but Mayor, I do think it was one of the finest so far. I just thought it was just really, really wonderful, and I wanted to congratulate you on that. I attended the Parks and Recreation Field Day, not this Saturday, but a week ago Saturday, and brought a couple of my grandchildren out there, and it was really a great, great, great deal. I just think that maybe because of the heat, it might be better to do something like that in the evening, because it really was great. I know it was the first time, and it was great. It's a great thing for the kids, and I really did enjoy it. Also, right after that, there was a back-to-back back-to-school fair at Redondo, put on by Redondo and SOS. That was very, very nice. And a lot of us went to the FMEA conference, the Florida Municipal Electric Association conference in West Palm Beach. And I want to tell you, it was a wonderful conference. The sessions were just fantastic. And one of that was the most, there was a couple that were very interesting, but one that was very interesting to me was two versions of global warming. And it was very interesting to get two conflicting views, both recognizing that global warming exists, but the different causes and the different effects, and what is actually mankind's input into that, and how little or how much do we have. So I thought that was very, very good. And there are a couple of very good statements that were made that the problem with that at this point is it's becoming political rather than policy. So anyway, I thought that was very interesting. Also, I attended the Florida Nursery Growers Installation Banquet and presented a proclamation to them on behalf of the City Council in the City of Homestead, and Ag Commissioner Charles Bronson was there, and it was a really nice evening, and they really did appreciate hearing from the City Council that we do even appreciate the Florida Nursery Growers. Thank you, Mayor. That's it.
Thank you, Councilwoman Bell. Councilwoman Garner.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd also like to echo everyone's sentiments on what a great job you did on the State of the City. I know Patty and Marlene and Lillian, you guys really put in a lot of work behind the scenes that people don't know about. You ladies did an excellent job. It gets better every year. From our marketing committee, I'm pleased to announce that the next issue of the CityNet, which is a publication for the residents, will be coming out. It's being printed right now, so in about a week and a half you can expect to see it. It's got some good information covering the state of the city, some election information, some transportation information, and you'll also be receiving a very detailed transportation piece that's being printed right now. It'll be out in the next few weeks. That's going to highlight all of the current and planned transportation updates, road improvements, widening of roads, turnpike accesses, just good information for everyone to have, so look for that. After that, we'll also have a utility piece out, just some informational stuff for all the residents. Our goal is to communicate better with you and improve our image, and I'm very happy that since our seal was finished, we've gone ahead and standardized our business cards, our letterhead, everything from envelopes. It all just, they may sound like small things, but it goes together to reflect our professional, modern image that we have now, and I'm very happy that everything will be coming out very soon. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Garner. Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I know many of the events that I attended as well over the last couple of weeks have been covered, but I tell you, the one that really stands out in my mind is the Back to School Fair, and I want to commend the chief and the police force for their participation there. That was just a huge event. Those guys were out there in the heat of the morning hammering out those hot dogs and hamburgers, and when you see the number of kids there, the need in this community is once again hit home. There are probably in excess of 500 kids out there at any one time availing themselves of a backpack and the free back-to-school supplies that were being made available to them. And I'll tell you, the police department's really to be commended on that. And too, you may know, Chief, this past week I had a theft issue, and I'll give you something in writing as well, but I'll tell you, the 3 officers that responded and assisted were first class. It was really quite an experience to watch people that I grew up with do their jobs and do it well and know how to deal with the bad guys, toe to toe and eyeball to eyeball. They're all 3 to be commended. And I'll follow up with you on that, but I did want to publicly say that there were some other people there when it happened, and we were all just really awestruck by the conduct of the officers and their level of professionalism in doing the job that they do for us day in and day out. Seems like there was something else, but my mind has gone. Till I think of it, that's it, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Mr. Porter.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Bell brought up the question about the traffic, the red light running question, and obviously you referred that to the Public Safety Committee, and based on the input from Captain Chong, who is the code enforcement representative, he did some further research, and his opinion, and I guess the chief's position, is at this particular point Traffic Pact may not be the preferred vendor, and I know that they were scheduling an alternative so that we could, as a council, take a look at more than one possible vendor. So I'll have to check with the chief or with Captain Chong and see if that presentation has been able to be put together, and hopefully, if everyone's available at the next committee of the whole to see the presentation, it gives us some options. But it didn't appear that based on Captain Chong's input that ATC would be a more preferred company than Traffic Pack. So it just gives us another option to take a look at it. So I'll double check with them and see if that presentation can be done at the next COW. One of the things that I think we really need to instruct staff with regards to these master plan issues that obviously came up tonight and will come up in the Northwest master plan is the question that seems to arise is non-conforming use. What constitutes non-conforming use? And in the previous meetings we've talked about this before, because an expansion of a non-conforming use in my layman's terms would be you go buy the property next to you and you go build a bigger whatever you're currently doing. Based on the way that we have interpreted it now, expansion of non-conforming use is putting another 5-gallon drum of gas in the corner of the piece of property. So I think we need to get clear on that before we go into another Pandora's box with this whole Northwest Master Plan, which is as significant as what we've done with the Southwest Master Plan. We don't want to have these unintended consequences that we see facing us today. So, again, I'm going to ask staff that they need to come back. We need clear, very, very clear information on the question of non-conforming use. It's an opinion, but we need to know what we're setting in stone, because I know we all sat and talked to these particular people in the areas that were going to be affected, and we were assured that they would be able to do what they were doing. They would not be put out of business. They would not be restricted. And at the end of the day, right off the chute, right out of the bang, we need something changed. And all of a sudden, development services, another side of the table comes into play. No, you can't do that because you're expanding a non-conforming use. So there's clear question here, and I'm looking at you, James, I'm sorry. But as we go forward, the Northwest Master Plan has the potential to do the same kind of a Pandora's box as we're into right now. So let's get clear direction on that. I think the last time we talked about the Northwest Master Plan, that was a clear question that I think we needed to know. So please, bring this forward sooner rather than later. We've got a 120-day extension on the Northwest Master Plan as of, was that second reading tonight? So I think that's a clear question. That's certainly a question in my mind. So please bring something forward that designs or lays that out better, for me especially, and I know everybody else is in the same confused state that I am. So that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Mr. Vice Mayor?
I remembered. I remembered what else it was, and since we don't often get to put newspaper people on the spot, it's fun to do it tonight. And I know that the new editor, the news leader, Mike Dill, is accompanied by his new staff member, and if you'd like to take the opportunity to introduce your new staff writer who will be covering council meetings to council and the community, please. I love it when they all turn bright red.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. City officials, council, I would just like to introduce Sarah Otero. She's going to be the new reporter at the South Day News Leader. She'll be covering Homestead City Council meetings and other business around the city of Homestead.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Very briefly, let me just, when you call out people and say thank you, you miss folks, but I would be remiss if I did not just send very special thanks to the manager's office, the manager himself, Lillian, Marlene, Patty, the department heads, and a special thanks to Councilman Wallman for just doing an incredible job for the State of the City address. It's always a pleasure for the mayor to take the work that these men and women here do every year as committee chairs to make things happen, and the mayor get an opportunity to share that with the community once a year. It's a wonderful position to be in because they do all the work and the mayor get all the credit. But certainly the thanks to the people of the city of Homestead for being so supportive to this council this past year. You brought some very interesting concepts and ideas to us, and you certainly brought a lot of problems this past year, but with the grace of God and the help from so many, we were able to get through a year with tremendous accomplishments. And I was in a position on last Tuesday to share that with the community, and that was something I was very proud to do, and I'm sure we'll be proud to do in the future as other mayors sit here and talk about the fine things that we're doing, the challenges ahead, and certainly it's going to take the whole village to keep Homestead moving in the right direction. So again, just special thanks to the ones that went beyond the call of duty to make it happen. I got so many emails from our visitors, from the other mayors that attended, from the superintendent and others that said, you guys got it going on in Homestead. We did not know the work that you guys are doing out here. And I said, we got good people. We got talent in Homestead. And it was reflective in the speech and in the accomplishment from so many. So thank you all so very much. Mr. Manager, I was reading the letter from the county manager about our gas tax, the local option gas tax amount, and they projected our amount on $43,000. Are we going to challenge that number?
We've already called them in.
Okay.
We've already called them in and put them on notice.
Okay, good. Because I think if the council haven't got that copy of that letter, Ms. Bell, did you see it? Yeah, well, anyway, as long as we're challenging, that's a good thing. We should get more money from the county than $284,000 in the local option gas tax.
Mayor?
Yeah.
We got a response back from the county today saying that they're going to stick with the $43,000, so I think we're going to probably have to take some legal action there if we want to change it. Do we need to arm wrestle the county? I think so. I'm used to that. Mayor, you got to back me up on this one.
Well, we really need to look and see what that really comes out to before we go that route.
It may not be worth the cost that you have to pay Richard them to do it, so.
That's right. But we have this with the state as well.
I do it for free.
And that's all I have. Thank you all so very much for coming out this evening. Fred, we're going to look at that first. No, we're going to look at it.
We're going to make it happen. We're going to make it happen.